Battle of the Beltways. Friday, Jonathan Schoop hit a walk-off homer in the bottom of the ninth. Last night, the Nats used a 4-run six to come from behind and even the series. The rubber match starts with Max Scherzer and Wei-Yin Chen. The first half comes to a close right now in Baltimore. What a weekend it's been on Camden Street in Camden Yards. Bryce Harper going to represent the Nats in the All-Star game. So is today's starter, Max Scherzer. He's going to go against Wei-Yin Chen. It's a rubber game. It's a great atmosphere. It's been quite a weekend in between the lines as well. So the Orioles will be in Washington late September. This one goes into the All-Star break. Can you think of a better couple of times for these two to get together?
No, I mean, these games have been spectacular. The first game, a walk-off by Jonathan Schoop. Last night, a couple of home runs by the Nats late. Playoff atmosphere at Camden Yards. It's been great.
Yeah, and Bryce Harper, that ball took 3.6 seconds to get out of the ballpark last night. Left the bat about 112 miles an hour. It ignited the entire ball club to go on to that rally.
You know, the at-bat before that, Bryce, it was feeling for the ball his first at-bat. Second at-bat, he started to let it go a little bit. You had a feeling he was kind of timing him up right there, and that ball got out of here in a heartbeat. But when you look at Bryce Harper in the Triple Crown, we have to start talking about it. I mean, you're downhill for the rest of the season. You're past the halfway point, and look at where he's at. He's close. Giancarlo Stanton's injured. He's coming back in a couple of weeks, but Bryce Harper really has a legitimate chance to win the Triple Crown in the National League.
Yeah, at times he has carried the ball club, but of course, Robinson, Taylor, Tyler Moore, all of those guys have been contributing off the bench as well. So we're getting ready for Game 3 of this series. Harper, Machado, all-stars abounding in this matchup. And a pitching matchup that's going to be great as well. I think Max Scherzer is really going to thrive on this atmosphere at Camden Yards. Nats O's straight ahead. For the achiever in you, and by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Another great baseball day here in Baltimore. A little cloud cover to keep the folks out in the open from totally roasting, but it's going to be a warm one today. Humidity, though, is down to 39%, 85 gentle breeze is blowing from the east-southeast. Ideal day for baseball in this hitter's yard called Oriole Park. Danny Espinosa 2 for 4 last night, so a couple of hits, a home run, 3 RBIs. Danny hitting .284 over his last 22 games. And then Taylor back up in that #1 spot. Michael A. 4 for 8 in the series. Escobar has 3 hits in Baltimore. Bryce has a couple, including that igniter of a home run last night. Here's Wei-Yin Chen, 4th career start against the Nats.
Don't let the average speed on his fastball fool you. He's sneaky fast. He averages 83 on the heater. He threw it 54% of the time his last start. Slider 80, curveball 71, changeup 74. The 17th start of the year for Chen. Opponents hitting .233. He's been the best pitcher for the Orioles by far. Has trouble putting hitters away with 2 strikes. He'll get ahead in the count, but really doesn't have an out pitch with 2 strikes.
Ball game underway with strike 1. It's 1:36 Eastern time in the Inner Harbor. So the Orioles lead the all-time series 30-22. 17-10 here after last night's Nats win. Michael A. shows bunt, pulls it back. 10-year veteran Ed Hickox has the plate. Tim Welke's the crew chief at first. Mike Estabrook, Paul Nart around the bases, 2nd and 3rd. Orioles at home 27-17. Nats trying to go into the break with a .500 road record, and Chen, smart pitch. He goes out of the strike zone on 0-2 to get Taylor chasing.
Is it the defense for the O's? Lowe, Jones, Davis the outfield. Hardy, Machado left side. Scope, Parmelee right side. Matt Wieters behind the plate.
Orioles fewest errors in the American League with 38. 2nd fewest in all of baseball.
Platinum glove in 2013 and just a gold glove last year. Just. He's as good as it gets.
How does Manny Machado have 12 errors? That's what I'm trying to figure out. The way he plays against this ball club. Must be a lot of bad hops early in the season around the American League. Danny Espinosa, right-handed, .305. Career 1 for 6 with a double against Chen. And that breaking ball stays up and away. Orioles pitching staff 3.76 ERA, number 6 in the American League. The Nats are 6th in the National League with a 3.58. Target in. And there's that fastball up you're talking about. Guys thinking so far they can get to it.
Yeah, just elevated. Looks like it's going to come downhill because of the delivery. Never really gets down the zone, just stays up.
Chen career 39-28. 103rd career start against the Nats. He's 1-2 in 3 starts with a .660 ERA. 2-2 pitch. Danny Espinosa had that ball cue right off the end of his bat.
You know, I misread his numbers on Fangraphs before the game. His fastball average is 91, not 82 like I said earlier. So chalk that one to E-Analyst, day game after night game. And I knew he threw harder than that. I just wrote it down wrong on my scorecard. But that 91 plays faster than 91.
Ball ripped to the left side. Machado to his left. And again, how does that guy have 12 errors? A good play, 2 outs.
Well, third base, I mean, he could go a month without making another error, and 12 errors isn't that much at third. You're at the hot corner, you're getting bullets hit at you all day long, and you look at this sweet play on the pivot, the underhand throw to first base. How easy did he just make that tough play look? Got a chance to catch up with him yesterday. Always liked him as a player, but once you talk to him, you like him even more. A great head on his shoulders. He talked about how the game has slowed down for him, where early in his career he was just happy to be in the big leagues watching the game, and now he's learning from it, absorbing from other players and his teammates. And like I said, he's as good as it gets over there.
Here's Escobar trying to get it to Harper here in the first inning. 5th in the league at .315. He's seen plenty of Wei-Yin Chen. 3 for 19 career with a home run. Pulls that one. And Machado on the short hop. He sidearms it over there. And Escobar beats it. Infield hit for Escobar, not running 100% these days, and That's his second infield hit this series.
Watch the top spin hop that he just gives with right there. You can't teach what he just did. I'm sorry. Yunel Escobar legging it out. I mean, he came back from taking a couple days off with the hamstring. Had the leg out of infield single in game one. Last night he tried to score from first on a ball in the corner, got thrown out. And now, his first time up, he hits a chopper to third and has to beat that out. So wouldn't you know it, when your hamstring's barking, you have to run the most. Great play by Machado, and there goes the no-hitter. And Escobar stretching at first base as we speak.
95th hit of the year. Here's Bryce Harper, 2 for 8 career with a triple and a walk against Wei-Yin Chen. And Bryce hits one to right. Going back, Davis can't get it. Hits up against that screen out there. Bob Henley will stop Escobar at third, and now he's going to dive back in. You can tell by the sound Bryce didn't get it. Chris Davis, a more natural first baseman than he is an outfielder.
Escobar's having trouble getting up at third right now. So he beating out a single. Now a ball over Chris Davis's head. Escobar thinking about scoring. I mean, just wouldn't you know it? And Bryce didn't get that, and he kind of watched to see if Davis was going to catch it, and that's what a lot of hitters do. He's thinking, is he going to catch that? Kind of watching the play, so a 2-out double for Harper. But the big concern is Yunel Escobar at third base, having to run all over the place with one leg. He laid there for about 30 seconds after he dove back into the bag.
Here's Wilson Ramos now. The Nats with some 2-out lightning. Escobar's 4th hit of the series. Harper's 3rd. Here's Ramos looking for his 3rd. And he's 1 for 2 career against Wei-Yin Chen.
And Ramos going to get some more pine tar after the bat slipped out of his hands right there. And you remember last night, got hit in the elbow on a backswing from Parmelee, I believe. And so when I saw him drop the bat, I was thinking maybe that's a little leftovers from last night, but looks like it's just a pine tar.
Pretty good average, solid numbers with runners in scoring position. That'll even things up and in 1-1.
So last night, watch Wilson Ramos right on the elbow on the backswing from Paredes, excuse me. And it got him flush. Went back to the dugout, turned a different shade of green, and then came in and had the lead off the next inning. Took a good swing, though.
And Ramos trying to serve one to right. Hit the ball well, a little bit late. Nice catch.
Nice catch, and I'm calling it somebody in an orange shirt, an orange Hawaiian shirt, makes another good catch today. Because there's just a few of them here in the ballpark.
He's got the hat, the shades, the shirt, and the leather. Chen's ERA, by the way, 2.82, 10th in the American League. He's been pretty solid first inning and early in games. He has Ramos behind here, 1-2. This one in the air. That's over the dugout, well out of play. Wilson Ramos 2 for 7 with a base on balls in the series. 14 RBIs. His last 21 games and some decent career damage against the O's. Nats trying to bust on top early in the rubber game of this just before the break weekend series. That was close.
And that was the extra fastball at 93. And you watch how his delivery is. It's very slow, and then he kind of jumps on you. So that 93 plays a little bit faster when you talk to hitters that have faced him. That one just missed.
Two on. And Ramos to right center. That ball's well hit. Trying to plug the gap. And Chris Davis, after not looking very good on a drive over his head, goes into the gap to grab one on the run.
Well, he took a weird route on Bryce Harper's ball. That one, he took a very straight route, a very clean route. Nice catch.
Your mind, guys. We like it.
She's outnumbered.
Some orange and some red, white, and blue. Adam Jones wearing the black and orange today. And his career numbers against Max Scherzer are good. 9 for 18. A homer, couple of RBIs, 5 strikeouts as well, we might add. And here's Max Scherzer, 7th career start against Baltimore.
See if I get this one right. Last start, his fastball averaged 93 miles an hour, slider 85, curveball 78, changeup 83. Last start got banged around a little bit. 5-0 lost against Cincy and Johnny Cueto. 4 2/3, 5 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 4 Reds, walked nobody, threw 81 pitches.
Manny Machado in the series, 2 for 6, 3 walks. Been on base a lot. Hitting .301. And against Max Scherzer, we'll tell you about the matchup number after this at bat. Wow, no low strikes at Hickox. Didn't give Chen one earlier in the inning. And he doesn't give Scherzer that one. 3-0.
I like what Scherzer said after his last start. He said, hey, guys, I'm going to have a stinker every now and then. You know, that's part of being a pitcher. It's part of the job description.
94, strike 2.
Basically said, I'm not perfect. And all of us said, what?
You're not?
Wait, you're not? From what we've seen, you are.
And quite a breaking ball. 88. Nasty on the slider for the strikeout.
Well, a nice 3-0 comeback, right? He didn't get the call 2-0. Do you think he let it affect him? No. Right back in the strike zone with strike 1, strike 2, and a 3-2 slider for strike 3. Machado not looking for that.
And now I'll give you the career matchup number. He's now 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts against Max Scherzer. Jimmy Paredes, the DH, hitting .300.
You could say that. That's all right. You're not saying no hitter. You're not saying perfect game. You're good.
God, the guy retires 1 in a row, and you're talking.
No, you were worried about jinxing him.
I know.
0 for 8.
Hanging around too many ball players over the years.
Well, you think
I did take a different route back to Washington after the loss Friday night.
That worked.
It was actually the same route, but it took about 1/3 the time. So to me, that's a different route. Friday afternoon coming up here, quite an adventure. That ball hooking and foul. Jimmy Paredes making a bid for his 11th home run.
We think after 81 pitches in his last start that Max Scherzer is going to be on it today. He's going to be fresh, and his fastball is going to be jumping out of his hand. And early on, 94, an easy 94.
Paredes 1 for 3 career with a double against Scherzer. And the fastball is up and away. Counts even. Perfect location. Hitter reaching. Fastball unreachable.
So the defense for the Nats behind Max Scherzer, Robinson, Taylor, Harper, your outfield. Desmond, Escobar, left side of the infield. Espinosa, Moore, right side. And Wilson Ramos behind the plate. So Max deciding, and Matt Williams deciding for Max to pitch today instead of the All-Star game, and we are all for that. This game far more important.
Yeah.
And you figure if the National League does win the All-Star game and the Nats do get Game 7 of the World Series, there's some pretty good pitchers that are going to start that game, right? Could be Greinke. Could be Burnett. Could be Cole.
Can't lay off the low slider, Adam Jones. We told you about his career numbers against Scherzer, 9 for 18. Has a home run in this series. Nats have held him in check other than that swing. And you were expecting fastball inside. He got it up a little bit, and Adam couldn't reach it.
Oh, reading the swings, 93, 94. Looks like 193 and 194. Watch the tardy swing by Adam Jones. Ball jumping out of Max's hands here early.
Well, 1-2. Does he take him up the ladder? That slider down and away, effective earlier in this count. Yeah, he'll jam him with a fastball, and Jones fighting it off. Right around 90,000 have seen the first 2 games of this series, and another packed house at the Yards today.
Nissan showing you the AB.
There's a slider. Jones stays with it and just strokes it out of the ballpark. Ninth given up by Scherzer. It's Adam Jones, 13th.
Well, with the injury to Alex Gordon, Adam Jones becomes the starter in the All-Star game because the players voted him in. He was the highest vote getter on the player ballot. He was not selected by the fans, and he just put his ball club up 1-0. Max Scherzer probably wanted to bounce that slider down away, left it up just enough for Jones to get a big piece of it. He can play. Boy, he's a good player.
2 hits in this series, both homers.
The reason the players voted him in is because he plays hard. He's a good player that comes to play every single day.
And now jamming the left-hander Davis. Scherzer gets a fly ball to Harper. But the Orioles, after the Nats had a couple of hits, get 1 swing to take the early lead.
avoid a tag, slid into first base. Looked like he tweaked it again. Stayed in the game. And I was wondering if he was going to play today. But watch the pitch he hits. You know, a lot of times as a hitter, if a pitcher makes a good pitch to you, you tip your cap. That was a good pitch by Max Scherzer. So I'm wondering if Max Scherzer's tipping his cap right now. That was not a bad slider. You saw him go down and get it and just kind of scoop it out of the ballpark. That guy's some kind of player, and he just shot somebody with an arrow.
Lefty, lefty. Wei-Yin Chen, Clint Robinson. Top of the second underway. And what a weekend Clint's had with 4 hits. Hitting .292 now. His last 27 games. On the outside edge. A pitch that kind of didn't go along with the shift, but Clint did not reach out and roll it over. And that's going to punch him out. Breaking ball up in the zone. 2 Ks for Wei-Yin Chen.
You're watching those shifts you're talking about as you look at the slider from Chen. The Orioles do them so late. I think half of it is trying to distract the hitter, and half of it is being in the right position, because in counts, you see him kind of moving right now. They do it late.
Here's Dan Uggla in the lineup today against the lefty. Has a DH, 0 for 3 career against Chen. 19 hits for the Nats in 45 games. And a danger count now for Wei-Yin Chen, 2-0. Nats with their 2 last night now hit 86 home runs, 4th most in the National League. The Orioles have given up the 3rd most home runs in the American League, 93. And a 2-1 that Uggla fouls off to the right side.
He likes to hit here. See if Chen tries to come in with that fastball. 2 strikes like he's been doing so far.
Better get it in there.
American Standard, who's hot, who's not? Road Warriors. Look at the Nats offense on the road. Runs first, home runs second, on base percentage, slugging, and extra base hits, all right up there at the top.
2-2 pitch. Uggla locked up on a curveball for the second out. Celebrate this season with the American Standard All-Star Sales Event. Mid-Atlantic Comfort.com. Visit it for amazing rebate and financing opportunities. 2 strikeouts in the inning. Tyler Moore up 3rd. Right up the middle. Ball scooted by the bag. This time the shift pays off. Jonathan Scope was way up the middle. Tyler Moore now 2 for 9 in this series. Quick inning for Chen. He gets that shutout inning they were looking for after the Adam Jones home run.
when you don't, I mean, this team's an example. The Orioles are first in the American League, and that helps them win. And we're no different than anybody else. If we make the plays that we're supposed to make behind our pitching staff, and we can make some great ones too, then it gives our guys a better opportunity to go deep in a game. It cuts runs down. It helps our offense. All of the above.
Both teams have played errorless ball in this series and oftentimes spectacular defense. First pitch by Scherzer. Matt Wieters really skying one to right. Long way for Bryce Harper to come. Bryce is there, and that was our part-time reporter, Matt Williams, with our Coons.com sideline report. When you're talking Cars, you're talking Coons.
I'll show you some defense from last night. Bryce in the mix, but first we're going to show you maybe the best double play of the year. Danny Espinosa to a backhand on a one-hoppy, and Desmond jumping and throwing at the same time. And here's Bryce on a tough line drive. And then Wilson Ramos, the Buffalo, pouncing like a cat right there and throwing out the lead runner at third base. So there was some leather thrown around by both clubs here last night.
There's Chris Parmelee, the first baseman. He's had a good weekend, 3 hits. And against Max Scherzer, some success, a double, a walk, 5 for 17. Pitchers will tell you that in a ballpark like this, you have to jam left-handed hitters. As long as you get the ball close to the edge, but off the plate a bit, then you can do your other stuff away. That ball's pretty well hit to left field, tailing foul. Fastball 94. Wow. Strikeout number 3. And that's 3 straight in a hurry since the Jones homer.
But there's been outings where Max Scherzer's best pitch is his slider. There's been a few where his best pitch is his changeup. But today, without a doubt, his best pitch early is his fastball. Orioles hitters have been late on it all day. Whether it's 93, 94, we haven't seen the 97 yet, but I don't think he needs it. He's got a lot of late jump on it today.
J.J. Harding steps in, 1 for 7 with a walk in the series. Hardy hitting .230 on the year. Slider hit down to third for Escobar. Scoops and fires. And J.J. Hardy now 4 for 24 career against Max Scherzer. Ian Desmond, the number 9 man, about to lead off. Murphy just hit his 5th. Kirk Neuenhuis has hit 2 homers today and has 2 on the year. Here we go, top 3. Nats down by a run. Again, Desmond. Nice stroke the other way, but a little late for it.
Stop.
Nice play.
That's what I'm talking about. Get in front of that ball.
I mean, defense rubbing off on everybody here. Lefties against right-handed batters. Lowest opponent's average since June 1st. Wei and Chen under 195 with right-handed batters. Ian Desmond's 2-for-8 career against him with a double. Both pitchers working quickly and efficiently here. Upstairs, Desmond strikes out for the 99th time this year. So the first time through, Nationals go 2 for 9 with consecutive hits by Escobar and Harper. First inning.
I talked to a lot of the Nats hitters after they faced Chen last year, and they were talking about how slow his delivery is and how he comes at you hard late, and that fastball plays harder than it is, and how you have to really trick yourself into starting your swing earlier than you normally would.
Michael A. Taylor got 0-2. First time up, swung at a ball to strike out, so he goes up on the attack this time. J.J. Hardy took care of that. 2 down.
It's time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo using hashtag NatsCouchGab, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast that's brought to you by T-Mobile. I feel like if there's some chocolate syrup involved in that picture, you'll probably get on TV. And your couch will never be the same.
I was going to say, chocolate syrup and Scotch Guard?
Yeah.
All right.
Saran wrap your couch and take a picture.
Danny Espinosa hit the ball sharply to the left of Manny Machado first time up, and the All-Star took a base hit away. First 2 innings, 29 pitches, 22 strikes. Chen, 25 over 17. Scherzer.
That double play he turned last night, the home run he hit last night, Espinosa definitely the MVP of the game for the Nationals. And like I said the other night, maybe this sneaky first half MVP for this ball club. Where would they be without Danny Espinosa? A guy that was just supposed to be a bench guy this year, coming out of spring training with the acquisition of Escobar. And there's the 3-run Tater last night, the 4-run 6th inning. His 10th home run of the year.
That was huge. 2-1 pitch. Danny gets jammed and pops it up to the left side. J.J. Hardy will take charge next to Machado. And a very quick couple of innings now. Chen has retired 7 straight. Six Nets Park, and Bryce Harper with 3 homers. He goes upper tank on the second one. That's what really got him locked in. He went on from there, and then of course the pitching a little later, exactly 2 weeks later, and Max Scherzer adds his name into the Nats history books with Jordan Zimmermann the no-hitter. Lots of chocolate, lots of fun at the ballpark that day. He was almost perfect, and the moments are brought to you by the Acura. It's that kind of summer event.
They should get some of the hard shell stuff for the second half where it just dries on you.
So 1 month and 2 weeks apart. Harper the homers and the no-no by Max Scherzer. Here's David Lowe, the left fielder, hitting .233.
Bryce's 3 home run game. The game will always be remembered as he'll never hit on the field again.
And a pop-up left side. Escobar. He tells Desmond he's got it. You can see the sun blazing in the shades of the infielders as they were looking up on this now sunny day in Baltimore. And Jonathan Schoop, Friday night's hero, will be next. This guy's had 44 at bats in 14 games, and he's hit 5 home runs.
Good player, real good player. I mean, the tag he made on Friday might have won the Orioles a game. How he let the ball come to him and just dropped the tag on Michael Taylor. They reviewed it, challenged it. Hit 16 home runs last year out of the 9-hole.
I was eavesdropping on the Orioles version of their pregame show today, and Rick Dempsey broke down that play just like you did the other night, talking about how the ball travels faster than your glove, than your tag possibly can.
Well, I talked to Buck Showalter about it yesterday, and he said that J.J. Hardy's the best tagger in the big leagues. And you think, tagger, come on. But he's the one that taught Schoop how to let the ball travel. And like we talked about the other night, you have a tendency to reach out and grab it. That's not faster. Let the ball come to you.
Schoop's a big kid for second base, too. 6'2", 210 he weighs. But they like his quickness around the bag. And obviously, it seems like everybody in this lineup has a live bat. He's 2 for 4 with that home run in this series. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Schoop first career at bat against Max Scherzer. The only Oriole in the lineup today to have not faced him before. And a fly ball. Left center. Michael A. Taylor just drifting over to it. First time through the order. The Orioles go 1 for 9 with the Adam Jones homer. It'll be Machado now with 2 outs.
WUSA 9 loves teachers. Help us help them with teachers or superheroes. Students do better when they get engaged. You can help. Go to WUSA9.com to find out how.
Manny Machado, swinging strikeout first time up. Tight slider, 86, strike 1 this time.
I mean, students do better when they're engaged with teachers, not getting engaged in high school or before. I highly recommend waiting.
Engaged in your schoolwork.
Yes.
It lays a foundation for a lifetime.
Grammar school, middle school, do not get engaged. High school,
wait
till you're 30.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Up and in. Machado able to stop the hands. 2-2. One nothing Orioles on the Jones home run. Jammed him. Machado fights it off, but here comes Harper. One all-star robs another, and they can talk about that the next time Bryce goes to third base. That looked like a base hit all the way.
Well, it kind of tailed back to Bryce, and that was the difference. And he turned his glove underneath and scooped it off the grass. Nice play by Bryce Harper, stealing a hit from Manny Machado. One all-star to another all-star. Max digs it. outside of this. He's thinking, I did everything right here. I got myself a bloop single, but Bryce Harper with a good jump saw it well, and then turns his glove over into a slide and hits him perfectly in the middle of the glove. Nicely done. Get some high fives from outfield coach Tony Tarasco. Bob Henley, well deserved. Nice play.
Defense in this series, huh?
Yeah.
Here's Escobar, top of the fourth. Infield hit first time. This one clean up the middle. He's 2 for 2. And in the series, 5 for 11. Escobar could be flirting with 320 by the end of this day. STG takes us inside some Bryce Harper numbers here.
This is always fun.
Yeah, 25, 60, and hitting 340 prior to the All-Star break. Tommy Davis was a very talented Dodger, brother of Willie Davis, the great Aaron Pujols, and then you've got Hall of Famers, Kaline and Mantle. Wow. Youngest ever before his 23rd birthday. Doubled over the glove of Chris Davis first time.
That bump's staring him right in the eye right now. It is. And he thinks about it. And everybody shudders at home because they want to see a home run. But where Machado's playing right now, he's got the base hit bunt if he wants it.
60 feet from third base or more. By the way, Paul Goldschmidt just became the first National Leaguer and the first major leaguer to 70 RBIs. He just hit a solo for the Diamondbacks against Jonathan Neese. 4-2 ball game in New York, 4th inning. Harper lays off the curveball. A take that turns the count in his favor. He's been on base now 17 of his last 32 plate appearances, counting his double today.
Matt's magic number is 74, Carp. Keep those updates coming. Looked on Twitter today. There's actually a Nats magic number that you can follow on Twitter.
I believe somebody probably did that after opening day, didn't they? That's on the outside edge. Bryce didn't like it. He's talking about it with Ed Hickox.
Well, it's 3-1 or 2-2. That's a big difference for a hitter. I'll show it to you after this pitch again.
And that's outside.
So here's 2 pitches ago. What does Pitch Track think? Pretty good pitch on the black.
Could have been called either way, and pitcher got the strike. Another full count on Bryce Harper. Escobar aboard, nobody out. 4th inning, Nats down by a run. Big rip and straight back it went.
And Bryce has been doing a good job of not showing umpires up. That time he probably could have done a little better job, but hey, emotions take over. He's fighting, he's battling up there, but he's been doing a nice job of looking at the dirt and not looking back at umpires if he disagrees with the call.
So from way outside to way inside during this AB between Chen and Harper. Just got a nick at that one.
Chen going right after him. It's a good battle.
Wei and Chen's given up 17 home runs this year.
That's a good sign.
Somebody tell that guy he's given up 17 homers. Nice play on words, though. 3-2 pitch. And a ball ripped to center. High in the air. Adam Jones is kind of strolling to it for the first out. Kind of playing the sun off to the side there. And Bryce didn't miss a straightaway homer by much on that barrel.
Pretty good battle. And you got to admire Chen really relying on his fastball. Didn't try to trick Bryce Harper at all, and Bryce knew he just missed it.
There's Wilson Ramos, robbed of a 2-run double by Chris Davis in the right center gap. First time up. Breaking pitch drops in. .92 with movement away. Chen won 16 games for this ball club last year with a 3.5 ERA. And Ramos foul tips that one into the mid of Matt Wieters. 2 outs on strikeout number 5.
Celebrate U.S. Marine Corps Day delivered by UPS at Nats Park. That's Tuesday, July 21st. Nats welcome the New York Mets in town, 7:05 p.m. Representatives from the U.S. Marine Corps will participate in pregame ceremonies, and the President's own United States Marine Band will perform the Star Spangled Banner. Go to nationals.com to purchase your tickets.
It's up to Clint Robinson with 2 outs, and he goes up hacking, and he drops his 5th hit of the series into left center. Clint is 5 for 10 here in Baltimore. That'll get Dan Uggla to the plate.
Nice inside out swing right here, perfectly placed, ready for the fastball, hands inside the ball. Good swing. See if Dan Uggla can pick somebody up here. Had some good hacks his first time up, struck out a nasty slider.
Uggla 92 at bats this year with 19 hits. And he hammers one to center. Here comes Jones. Escobar around third, being sent. Throw tailing up the line. Nationals tie the game. And an offline throw from Adam Jones will put Dan Uggla on second base after his 13th RBI.
Well, the ball was hit so hard that Jones couldn't field it cleanly. If he does, you know Escobar's out by a mile because you knew Bob Henley was going to send him. But a bolt off the bat of Dan Uggla. Watch the hop. Adam Jones just gets too close to it. And then he would have been better off not throwing it, but maybe knowing that Escobar is not running well, he thinks he still has a chance. And that ball had a chance to get by him, too. When you look at it again, he fielded it off to the side, but a nice swing by Uggla. Clutch 2-out knock. Ties this game at 1. Dan Uggla, do it again. I mean, you can hit 210, 212, whatever, and keep getting clutch hits like Dan Uggla and be valuable to a ball club.
Adam Jones, second error of the year, allowing Uggla to go to second base. Tyler Moore could really make it hurt. He takes a running fastball under his hands to the inside edge. RBI hit for Uggla, his 20th hit of the year.
And he's talking to himself, not happy. I think he might be thinking if he'd have kept coming right there, he could have caught it.
Tyler Moore just foul about 3 feet or so.
That's the hardest play for a center fielder. That low line drive right over the pitcher's head, right between your eyes. It's hard to decipher speed of the ball, how long it's going to stay up in the air, and he's still talking to himself right now. Look at this. Well, maybe about the throw. I think he said get the ball down right there if you're reading lips. Minus a word or two.
3 hits in the inning for the Nationals. They've been bunching some hits together here this weekend. Tyler Moore to right center. That'll drive in 2. It'll go to the wall. Robinson and Uggla her home. And Tyler Moore has 3 RBIs in this series, and all of them with doubles going the other way.
A great adjustment second time around by the Nationals hitters. First time around, couple of hits. Wilson Ramos hit a ball hard. But it seemed like the ball from Chen was getting on him. What have they done different this time? They're ready. They're getting down early. Word in the dugout, hey, that ball's getting on me. What do you got to do? I can get my foot down a little bit earlier, and you see it with Escobar. You saw it with Robinson, UGGLA, and now Moore with a clutch 2-out double. On top of the fourth, the line is moving. 3 runs in and counting for the Nationals.
Big time production from the bottom of the lineup. With 2 outs, 6, 7, and 8 all get hits. Desmond is short. J.J. Hardy throws him out. And the Nats will score 3 runs on 4 hits. UGGLA drives one in. Tyler Moore tacks on 2 more. And the Nats dugout comes alive here. Oriole Park at Camden Yards. 3-1 Washington. Well, Dan UGGLA, big hit. Looking cool down there with Dendecker and Lobaton. The Nats a big 4th inning. The DH comes through. Tyler Moore adds 2. And now here comes the proverbial shutdown inning for Scherzer, facing Paredes, Jones, and Davis, 2, 3, 4. So Bryce Harper's play kept Machado off base. And then the Nats answer with 3.
This is where Scherzer usually turns into a different guy.
He's retired 7 straight since the Jones homer.
Give him the lead and watch him go.
Escobar about 20 feet to the right of the third base bag, just onto the grass. So showing bunt, but it was a called strike. And then this ball right to Tyler Moore, a little in between hop. That was nice. He went goaltender to get his body behind that thing.
Little Yellowwood bringing the lumber. Let's go back to the first inning. A pretty good pitch by Max Scherzer, but sometimes good hitters beat good pitches, and that's exactly what happened. Look where Wilson Ramos is reaching. Not even close to being in his power zone. But the strong Jones stays through it, rides it out of the ballpark for his 13th home run of the year.
182nd of his big league career. And a first pitch fastball had him late.
Hit speed 93. Sounds about right. Kind of lofted it out of here. I saw on StatCast last night that Bryce Harper's was 112.
With a not hang time of 3.6 seconds.
Yeah. They both count, though.
Man. Target in, fastball. And holds on to that breaking ball a little long. So Adam Jones, 10 for 19 career against Scherzer with 2 home runs. Wilson Ramos took the brunt of that foul ball on a heater.
Man, just got him on top of the helmet, and then it got home plate umpire Ed Hickox too. Watch this, right on top of Wilson's helmet. And he's seeing stars right now, and everyone taking their time to make sure that the Buffalo's okay.
Yeah, Max Scherzer goes for a long walk here. Jose Lobaton knows that feeling.
Here's what it sounded like. Until that happens to you, you have no idea how loud that was to Wilson Ramos. Like an M80 going off in your mask.
2-2 pitch now. And Scherzer had him reaching. Max will pounce on it. Had time. Right to Tyler Moore. 2 outs. For the achiever in you, PNC Bank with our minor league report. Keeping an eye on the young shortstop, Trey Turner. Come on now. He just got promoted, hitting .417. 15 for 36, driving in runs, scoring runs. Yeah, I should think he made the All-ACC team at NC State.
He's in the Futures game today.
Yes, he is.
Probably get 3 hits in that, too.
Wow.
He's ready. Call him up.
Chris Davis, fly ball to right first time. Max Scherzer jammed him enough that he flared one out to Bryce Harper. Fastball up. Wow, 94.
I'm looking down to see the speed, and I'm thinking I'm going to see 96, 97 all day with Max based on swings and how it's jumping late, but he's been sitting at 94. I don't think he needs the 97.
Yeah, and the longer that reserve tank is around, the more dangerous he is, too.
Well, he's closer mode right now. He got a 2-run lead. He's I got this mode.
He goes off speed. Diving catch. In foul ground, Tyler Moore. I tell you, Tyler's getting some games, a lot of at-bats, and some action at first base. It's his natural position. Look where he ends up here. Brilliant defense throughout this series by both clubs. But Harper and Moore, great today.
Nationals, we head to the top of the 5th inning. The bottom of the order has been the story for the Nationals in this series. They've been clutch, and it continues here today. Dan Uggla with a 2-out knock up the middle. That would score you now, Escobar, who led off the 4th with a single. And then how about Tyler Moore? Perfect swing, letting the ball travel, splitting Chris Davis and Adam Jones. That would score a couple. Clint Robinson, Dan Uggla, and that's where we're at. 3-1, bottom of the order. Clutch.
There's Taylor, the leadoff guy, and he takes a breaking ball that just kind of flew out the top of Wei-Yin Chin's hand, ball one. Michael has struck out swinging, bounced out on the first pitch to short. Hacking early again, and that's the second baseman, Jonathan Schoop, all the way over there. Wow. I haven't seen anybody play Michael A. Taylor quite like that. I mean, the shortstop and the second baseman were maybe 4 steps from each other. Espinosa and Escobar, the next two. The science of baseball getting more intense every year.
Sometimes the shift works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, if that's a 12 hopper through the right side, it might be a double.
Yeah, never know.
He drops in the big dipsy doodle breaking ball right there to Danny Espinosa. Danny's pulled it twice. Hard ground ball to third, pop up to short. This pop up to the right side. Foul ground. Wieters ejecting his equipment. 2 down in a hurry. Escobar will try to keep it alive for Harper. Harris Teeter Family Fun Pack. Saturdays and Sundays this season. With every Family Fun Pack ticket, you get a hot dog, chips, and a drink while soaking in some Nats baseball. To check it all out, visit nationals.com/family. Harris Teeter, the official grocery of the Washington Nationals. They've been doing that for our fans on weekends for years. Bryce next. Escobar 2 for 2 stepping in. Does it have enough to fall? 3 for 3, and Bryce Harper will bat. And as the GPS says, recalculating on Escobar's batting average right now, 3 for 3.
I'd say, as a player going into an all-star break when you have 4 days off, you want to have a good last game because that's the one that sits with you for a number of days. You don't want to go over and think about that one for 4 days. And how about Yunel Escobar? 3 hits today, and the average up to 322.
So they go into a shift on Bryce. Double over the head of the right fielder Davis first time. High fly ball to straightaway center. Second time up, caught by Jones. And Bryce saw first pitch front door breaking ball, ready to pounce. More numbers. So we take that 25, 60, and 340 thing and go to all ages. Last 5 guys to do it. Miguel Cabrera. Remember those ridiculous numbers 2 years ago? Derek Lee, Manny Ramirez, Albert Pujols on that list. That was Pujols' 3rd year in the big leagues. 0-1 to Bryce, and he can't get to the 91 upstairs. Battle mode starts right now. Good job to reach out and stay alive. Nissan has the at bat. Everything elevated here. Challenged him last time. Got the fly ball. Breaking ball that time, and a great take by Bryce. No swing, says Paul Nart. .370 Nats, 1-1-1 O's. Top of the 5th inning. Harper breaking ball, hits it well, but it's right at Jones. And that's it for Washington at the top of the 5th. They've stranded 4, but RBI hits by UGGLA and Moore have them in the lead.
That's hat and a Maryland hat. There it is. How about some Geico highlights? Show you some defense today. The defense of the series has been spectacular from both clubs. You got pitchers throwing strikes, good tempos, defenders on their toes, big crowds, which will get your adrenaline up, and a lot of guys leaving it all out on the field where they have a 4-day break coming. But credit to Mark Wiedemeyer in the scouting report there on Chris Davis. He hasn't pulled a ball this whole series. He's had trouble getting to it, but he had Tyler Moore on the line, and he was able to make that dive in play. So the leather has been impressive. There's Mark Wiedemeyer.
A couple of guys having a good time. Clint Robinson and Tyler Moore benefiting from lots of playing time here lately, and that's on the corner to Matt Wieters. Bottom of the 5th underway. Wieters a fly ball to Harper first time. Max Scherzer threw 4 innings, averaging just over 12 pitches, 49, 34 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes. We've just been told that Clayton Kershaw has been added to the All-Star team to take Max Scherzer's pitching spot.
Well, that's an All-Star, I would say. MVP should be on an All-Star team. The All-Star game is about the best players in the game being there, and Clayton Kershaw is at the top of that list, regardless of the first half of a season he's had. Go body of work, and he deserves to be an All-Star, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Wieters, Parmelee, and Hardy here. 5, 6, 7 in the bottom of the 5th. Tapper right side, Danny Espinosa. Nosey this time, and that's 11 straight. So the Dodgers are in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As we have a look at our next 5, WUSA 9 joins us Friday night, Sunday afternoon. Then the Mets come in for 3. You're seeing 2 of those before the Nationals embark on a long road trip. So a 6-game homestand out of the break, and then they go for 4 to Pittsburgh, 3 in Miami, and 3 against the Mets at Citi Field. That'll be an important homestand to take on a couple of good ball clubs and take that momentum on the road. I mean, the Pirates are on fire right now again. Walked off St. Louis in 14 innings last night. They're 17 games over 500, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Nats swept them.
You ready to play out of the break? Get your rest. Get your rest, boys.
Nats will have a workout at Nationals Park Thursday evening and get after it Friday night against the Dodgers.
Are we having a workout, you and I? Thursday
Nope.
night? No?
Where you're going, I can't call you.
That's right. My phone will be off. I'll be on the beach with my toes in the sand.
And I'm thinking where I'm going, there may not be any cell service either.
Good.
At an undisclosed location.
I talk to you enough every night. We're good.
Really going to miss you.
I'll send you a postcard.
2 balls, 2 strikes. I'll be back in D.C. before it arrives. Two with 1 out. Parmelee struck out first time. Just does, on a late swing, get a piece of that one. By the way, that series at Washington with the Orioles coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, September 21, 22, 23. That's going to be something. Here's the entire at bat by Mercedes. 2-2. And Max Scherzer a goal full now, missing with the off-speed low. time on the fastball away. He has worked the outside corner effectively enough to have guys continue to reach for that heater. That's a dozen in a row now.
He's stalking. That's the first time I've seen 96. Maybe I missed a few, but starting to reach back. Closer mode. Max Scherzer, I got this. Boom. And watch the body language. This is where it starts to get good. I mean, it's always good with Max Scherzer, but he starts to get 5th, 6th, 7th. Stalking his prey. Here we go.
And that's a strike. Up and in part of the zone to J.J. Hardy, who bounced out to Escobar first time up. (3-1) Nats, bottom of the 5th. No swing. Tim Welke, the crew chief down there at first base.
Did he go? You tell me.
I thought he didn't.
I am close. I'm going to tell myself.
Yeah. Kept his hands out ahead of the barrel there. Well. We're seeing a lot of foul tips. Guys just barely on 2 strikes getting a piece of some of these pitches.
See if he tries to elevate that fastball here in 2-strike count. Shook something off. What did you decide on?
Once the slider. Strikeout number 5. 13 in a row for Max Scherzer, who's given up 1 hit today, and you wouldn't even call that pitch to Jones back in the first inning a mistake. Welcome back to Oriole Park at Camden Yards. On to the top of the 6th inning. Freight Rail Works with our do-ups and what the guys have done in this series. Wilson Ramos 0 for 2 today. But then Clint Robinson going crazy. A hit today, 5 for 10. Dan Uggla has an RBI hit. And as FP chronicled, bottom of the order, getting things done today. Ramos' first pitch, pop-up. Chris Parmelee fighting the sun. And he's got it. So next up, the aforementioned Clint Robinson, who comes into this at bat hitting .272. So there's the box. Escobar 3 for 3. By the way, it's his 6th game this year with 3 hits or more. 25th multi-hit game. And then Robinson, Uggla, and Tyler Moore all delivering after the Harper single. Actually, the Escobar single that led off that 4th inning.
Hey, it's a road game. Yunel's got a chance to have his 3rd 5-hit game of the year today. And you're also looking at the other sneaky MVP of the first half in the batter's box right now.
Clint Robinson had never even been on a big league ball club the last weekend of spring training to make a final cut. Got the news he was coming north. He's been quite a find for Mike Rizzo and Matt Williams. A little late on that heater. No balls, 2 strikes.
And then the guy on deck turned the season around April 28th. So, I mean, the bench guys have been amazing.
And Clint Robinson's going to drop another base hit out there. 6 for 11 against the Orioles. And they're probably wondering, isn't that guy who could never get to the big leagues with Kansas City?
I don't think so. I think they're saying he's a big leaguer now.
Exactly.
I mean, because he is, and he's established. He's had a first half. He's not going back ever. And he's massaged a few out there today, so you take him any way you can get him.
Hey, that's that low maintenance swing that you spotted about a 1/3 of the way through spring training that would serve him well and serve the ball club well. So here's Dan Uggla. He goes up hacking. Hit a nasty 1-hopper out to Adam Jones to tie this game 2 innings ago.
Be careful if you try that fastball into Uggla. His bat looks quick today. He seems like he's seeing Chen very well.
Wow, what a number. 346 on the road for Robinson now.
And you see Weeder setting up away. He's thinking the same thing.
And Uggla stayed on it. Out of the glove. He'll get it back anyway.
Oh, he's getting booed.
He's got 2 gloves on. He must be ready to hack.
Dude with 2 gloves on. And then he gets the ball. Now you got to give it to a kid.
Yeah.
Once you boot it.
Oh, 2 to Uggla. Dan has to swing close enough. So the Nats 8 base hits now. They had 11 in the 7-4 win last night. They had 10 in the rough 3-2 loss here Friday. Target in.
That's the guy that was out of baseball last year. He got released by the Braves. The Giants picked him up. They had him for like a week or something. He went to AAA, made a few errors, struck out a few times. He said, thanks for coming. And Mike Rizzo, who's always been a fan back to their Arizona days, says, hey, why don't you come to spring training with us? He got his eyes fixed, and now he's contributed on a first-place team. Take that, baseball.
Yeah, he had 11 at-bats for the Giants in 4 games. Mike Rizzo signed him originally out of the University of Memphis back in 01 for $1,000. One ball, 2 strikes. Good take.
Truck's asking me if Uggla gets a ring when we go to San Francisco, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's up to the.
I haven't heard
the meeting they hold, right?
I haven't talked to Dan about that.
Interesting.
I don't think he'd really want it, to be honest with you. Players that, he signed with the team for a couple of days. No.
Nissan tracking all these pitches that are near the inside corner, kind of from medium to way up. And now he's battled back to a full count here. Top of the 6th inning, 1 on, 1 out.
I'll tell you what, he wants one with a curly W on it this year. Bet your life on that.
Three-2 with 1 out. Runner holding. Uggla is short. Hardy, Scope, and a 6-4-3 for the Orioles. 76th double play of the year. So we're going bottom 6, bottom of the order for the Orioles. They still trail by 2.
Game's pretty tight until the Nats broke open last night's game on the Espinosa homer. What a good weekend and what a good day this would be to win a series, go into the break, and just feeling good about everything.
And you got to feel good about a 2-run lead if you're Matt Williams and Max Scherzer on the mound. I mean, he had the nerve to give up a hit so far in this game, and it was a home run. But he's been dealing the fastball jumping out of his hand, and now he's in that closer mode, that I got this mode. And this is my favorite part about a Max Scherzer start, is when he has a lead late in the game and he starts to get that body language on the mound that all the Nats fans have grown to love in the first half of this season.
And like we said earlier, not exactly a mistake pitch on that Adam Jones homer back in the first. So here's David Lowe leading off, number 8 hitter. Scherzer popped him up to Escobar, first time up. Pops him up again. This one out to center for Michael A. Taylor. "14 hitters in a row retired." And I'll let you look at the box score and figure out how they scored today.
If this guy wasn't here,
if he doesn't go down and away and digs out a slider,
we'd be doing our same seat thing.
And hits it about 370 to left field. Here's Jonathan Scope. He hits one to left. Clint Robinson got a read on it, and then he pulled up. Off the bat, it looked like it was going to carry far enough to be caught. Robinson playing it safe. A man aboard with one out.
Well, he plays as deep as any left fielder in baseball, so whenever Clint Robinson is in left field, there's going to be some hits. And you see where he's starting kind of close to the track, had a beat on it, and decided to play it on a hop. The second hit of the game for the Orioles.
All right, 14 in a row. Now Manny Machado, a combination of speed and power, steps in, suddenly representing the tying run. And Scherzer, he'll hold the ball, as we know, with guys on base and slow things down to the tempo he wants.
Pretty good hack by Machado right there. He was on that heater. Let's see if that buys him a slider. Changeup. Did you hear how I said that in my golfer's announcer voice? Change up. I just didn't want anybody to hear out
We're
there.
pretty close.
Well, there was a game here this year with no fans where they could hear Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer in the booth.
One ball, one strike. And Machado to center. Michael A. Taylor under this one. And a couple of routine fly balls for 2 outs. The Potomac Nationals will be back at Fitzner Stadium Wednesday through the weekend, halfway to St. Patty's Day on July 16th, and the replica jersey camping seat giveaways July 17, 18. For all your ticket and promo info, PotomacNationals.com. Jimmy Paredes, the DH. He has struck out and bounced to Tyler Moore. And that one by Tyler Moore, right behind the base runner. Going nowhere is Scope. Bryce Harper got to that ball in a hurry. But this gets Adam Jones to the plate with 2 on, 2 out, 6th inning. So right now, your key sequence in this game.
Well, in that at-bat that Jones homered, Max Scherzer threw the fastball by him a few times. He tried to trick him with the slider with 2 strikes. He caught it out front. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes challenge right here with the heater until Adam Jones shows him different.
Scherzer jams it, gets the pop-up. What a pitch. Danny Espinosa right there. And Max Scherzer buys himself a couple more innings here and maybe the rest of the day with that quick out.
Start at just $175. Visit umterps.com or call 1-800-IMATERP. Fear the Turtle.
When you go to the games, take your radio with you and listen to Johnny Holiday.
I like guessing what unis they're going to have every Saturday. That's my favorite part.
Well, the Nats in their road reds with the gray pants looking pretty good today. Tyler Moore steps in. Big hit of the ball game. The 2-run lead thanks to his shot to the right center gap back in the 4th inning.
Partial to the all-black ones myself. And they did a good job in their first year in the Big Ten.
Tyler gets jammed, and this one will be over the tarp and on a play.
I think the guy in the Hawaiian shirt caught it, Bob.
4 others were going for it.
It was a giveaway here today. Hawaiian shirt day at the ballpark, and I like it. I think it's a great idea. There's one, but I don't think that's the giveaway. The giveaway's a little brighter than that. That's the giveaway with the Orioles logo.
And it was all over it.
Fredberg. That guy just showed up as a Nats fan saying, hey, I want to join this party. I'm going to wear a red one. I like it. The Nats could do one with some presidents on it and stuff. I think it'd be great. Sure. And I got one of those last night.
1-2. Breaking ball. Tyler Moore up the middle. Way to his right. Scope. And Tyler Moore is out on a bang-bang play.
I want to look at that one again. Matt Williams went down in the dugout. Let's see. That was bang-bang at first base. Very close. Let's see if Matt Williams decides to use a challenge right here. Chen just missing that ball. Look how far Jonathan Scope goes. Big arm. What a play. To even make it that close. And he actually got him. Nice play by the Orioles second baseman.
1 out. Here's Ian Desmond 0 for 2.
It's like the 4th time Tyler Moore's been robbed by a second baseman on the shortstop side on a ground ball this year.
Yeah. Kind of interesting when Tyler hits line drives, they do go to the right side. And Desmond skies one a mile high on the left side. Manny Machado drifting, foul ball, 2 outs.
Okay, this time tweet your strangest fan photo using hashtag NatsCouchCam, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. If it's too strange, you probably won't, though. Brought to you by T-Mobile. They got their shirts on. They're ready for the All-Star break. I like it.
Over but low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Michael A. 0 for 3 today, but having a good series still, 4 for 11. He's driven in 3 runs. They got that big shift on him. And it looked to me like he was trying maybe to slow things down a little bit and get one through that right side. Now on 2 strikes, he's just got to do whatever he can with where it's pitched. So they'll play Chris Parmelee about 30 feet off the line. And Taylor will swing and miss, 0 for 4 today. And we arrive at the 7th inning stretch. That is strikeout number 6 by Wei-Yin Chen today. 1 inning has him behind. And as the guns sound, we arrive at the Hyundai 7th inning stretch. Some firepower on the water and in the ballpark today. Of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals. Great crowd settling back in on a brilliant baseball Sunday afternoon, the last day before the All-Star break, and the Nats are trying to win their 48th game behind Max Scherzer.
And the fastball for Scherzer has just been dominant here today. I mean, it's not about the changeup, it's not about the slider, it's about him throwing his fastball by Orioles hitters. And he's been doing it from the first inning till right now. I'll show you a slider right there for strike 3 on J.J. Hardy, but the fastball's been the story today for Scherzer. Time for Toyota K's for Kids. The Washington area Toyota dealers want to help children and families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season. Hey, all right.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah, that walk-off.
Let's save the walk-off for Friday.
Well, they're talking about the pretzel.
Food.
Yeah, the pretzel I had.
So what all was in that thing you originated your food coma with last night?
It was crab dip with tons of crab in it. Some Old Bay cheese on top and some Old Bay sausage just smothered over a pretzel. And it was fantastic.
Good.
Until about 3 in the morning last night.
I was going to say, you went out like 7 and ran that off, right?
Actually, I did, yes.
Go Nats. You've heard a lot of that around the Inner Harbor this weekend. A lot of red in the ballpark. That's great. Our fans are traveling better than ever. And, hey, some of you folks might want to think about that series over in Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks. That's really going to be something.
Stalking.
76 pitches, 53 strikes. So Max Scherzer is averaging under 13 pitches per inning right now. Pretty impressive. Chris Davis Fly to right. Foul line drive to first. Caught by Tyler Moore last time up.
Well, the 2-run lead huge for Scherzer right here because he can keep throwing the fastball until they get to it. He doesn't have to mess around with a whole lot of off-speed pitches. If it was a 1-run lead and they can shoot you out of the ballpark and tie it up, different story. But until somebody gets on, you figure he's going closer mode right here and staying with that heater. Yeah, he's been throwing by everybody all day.
Yeah, Chris Davis, a good fastball hitter, can't catch up.
They're not picking it up. Whether it's the crossfire delivery, how he hides it with his deception, or it's just got a lot of late jump after throwing 81 pitches his last start.
First pitch 84, second pitch 94. Way inside. That's nasty at the knees.
I mean, it's just been Linda Ronstadt all day, blew by you. I mean, really, he hasn't had to mess with anything else. Boom.
Mercedes-Benz going 94 right there. Danny Espinosa in short right field. Desmond up the middle. They don't have to worry about it. There's no contact. Strikeout number 6. Inside the numbers with G. National League ranks, ERA tumbling as we speak. And that was the ERA coming in, which was third best in the league. The strikeouts, the walks per strikeouts, and opponents 188. On base percentage opponents, not much better, 219. Dominance. That is dominance. Here's Matt Wieters.
One strikeout away from 150 in the first half.
Scherzer, by the way, has gone at least 6 innings for the 17th time in 18 starts. He's trying to go 7 or more for the 14th time. And hopefully we'll be giving you some of those 8th and 9th inning numbers later. Slowed down Wieters' bat there with 85. Oh-2. Target away. And the Wieters did well just to get to 97. Tyler Moore right there. Guys on their toes. They know things are happening quickly. Extraordinary moments will happen all in one place Tuesday night. Don't miss Bryce and Max. They're going to represent your Nats at the 86th Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Cincinnati. Fox gets it going at 7 p.m. Tuesday night.
He's going to be there. He's going to be there. 4 Orioles are going to be there.
There's Chris Parmelee. Yeah, 2 guys from their bullpen. Fly ball left field. Clint Robinson moving over for it. He has it. And Max Scherzer now through 7 on a 3-hitter. Yeah, he's thrown a no-hitter. Great ball cap, number 31. And he's looking for W number 10 today.
Ignite Point Systems. They offer the technology you need when you need it. What a great site for baseball. The Warehouse, Utah Street. The batter's eye, double deck left field. Bullpen out there, at least the Orioles bullpen working. Here's Wei-Yin Chen, 88 pitches, 68 strikes. And he'll go top 8 against Espinosa, Escobar, and Harper. That's Bud Norris. Danny Espinosa 0 for 3 today, trying to get a ball out of the infield against Wei-Yin Chen. First pitch, Hack gets right over our heads. Chen has not pitched that badly today. Escobar got that base hit in the 4th. He got the next 2 men. And then remember that Clint Robinson soft single out to left center. And then he couldn't get UGGLA and Moore, and the boys made him pay for 3 runs right there. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball in the dirt. And Danny Espinosa 0 for 4.
Well, you know, Escobar has a couple of 5-hit games this year. Doesn't look like he's going to get 5 at-bats today, but he's a perfect 3 for 3. It started with an infield single. He beat it out. The next time up, right up the middle. Where was his shift? And then a little blooper into center field. So, you know, Escobar 3 for 3 in the average at 322.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it is the 6th time this year he's had 3 hits or more in a game. On the inside corner. His most recent, June 18th against the Rays. One of those 5-hit affairs. Look at that. That's 65 points higher or so than last year.
And he was out here early today. The crowd arrived early because of the shirt giveaway. And it was kind of an odd scene. Nobody took BP, and it was Yunel Escobar on his knees at third base taking ground balls.
Again.
And if you're wondering why he does that, it's just to kind of get your hands involved. You take your lower half out and you start to stay soft with your hands, and that's exactly what you need to do at third base. You don't have time to read hops at third. The ball kind of plays you. We showed Manny Machado a couple of times today giving on a ball and using those soft hands. That's what Yunel Escobar works on early when he's just on his knees taking ground balls.
Early in his career with Atlanta, he hit .326, .288, and .299. The next year he struggled because he was hurt. And then the highest he hit in Toronto in 5 years was .290 and 11. So a career batting average of .276 coming into this year. And that play made by Chris Parmelee using the mitt for shade. 2 outs with Harper coming in.
Now, Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to the Children's National Health System for every home run Nats player hits this year. So keep them coming. It's for a wonderful cause. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. You can kind of hear cheers, you can kind of hear boos. Got a 50-50 for Bryce Harper, 1 for 3 with a double.
Yeah, hit the ball hard last time, lined out to Jones in center. Don't groove a first pitch fastball. And that's a breaking ball outside. .91 in there to even things up. Bryce said after the game last night he doesn't really like hitting here that much. He said he has a hard time seeing the ball here. Those were some games that started, of course, early in the evening and then under the lights. Because most people would think he couldn't wait to get to a place like this, but you got to see it up, Pete, to do damage.
Yeah.
He said he struggles with that.
It's one of the better parks to see the baseball, so it's just different strokes for different folks. I mean, the batter's eye here is as good as it gets. The infield's quick, the ball flies, so for whatever reason, different guys will tell you, I love hitting in this park, and you're getting arguments on the bench. Really? You love hitting there? So, yeah, it's just to each his own.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 3 for 11 in the series. And a breaking ball that he'll pull to the right side. That's J.J. Hardy over there. The Nats go in order in the top of the 8th inning. So the Scherzer show resumes in a moment. To bat here because it's 7, 8, 9, but he'll be part of the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. You can master the free award-winning game that millions are playing. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and on Google Play.
I talked to Bryce yesterday in the clubhouse about the Home Run Derby, and he said he was practicing in the cage the other day, and they timed it. And he said after 3 minutes he was gassed, and it's a 5-minute round, and you're awarded, you know, the clock stops, you're awarded more time based on number of home runs, how far they go. And Manny Machado was actually out here yesterday without the cage, so they had the cage pulled back, and he was just at home plate, which is one of the more interesting parts of the Home Run Derby when you talk to hitters, because it's the first time you're taking batting practice without the cage, and you kind of feel like naked out there because you're used to having that turtle cage. So he was working on the time thing too. You know, a lot like in the three-point shooting contest in the NBA All-Star game, guys will work on it before they get there. Well, Machado wants to win. He's taking it seriously, and he was working out here early yesterday.
1 ball, 1 strike.
It's more of a CrossFit workout now, an endurance thing, really. And I think that the emphasis of the onus is on the pitcher throwing strikes. And Machado told me, he said, I'm just doing it like they always do it. I was swinging once, taking a pitch, swinging after that, taking a pitch, taking 2 pitches, not rushing, and he wanted quality swings, not quantity. I thought that's very interesting.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Hardy way out ahead of that one. Now what does he get? He got 96, and it just missed.
And saving that. Saving the 96 is for this part of the game. And that was just a hair outside.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hard slider, counts full. Orioles need base runners. By the way, the Diamondbacks got a run in the 7th, but still trail at New York 5-3. Nets are 2 up on the Mets as we head into the break. And here's a big 3-2 pitch. Desmond right into the edge of his mitt. Great athletic ability and quite a reach by Ian Desmond for the first out.
Well, just ready for the baseball, and it kind of took a hop on him with an extra gear at the end. Watch this. It looked like the ball kind of picked up speed once it got to the cut of the grass and through the dirt, and Desmond, maybe with a lot of white shirts behind home plate, had trouble picking that up, but a nice play by the Nats shortstop and a big out here in the 8th.
Here's David Lowe. He's hit the ball in the air twice. Strike 1, 95. Max Scherzer has retired 20 of the last 22 Orioles.
By the way, orange shirts aren't the best backdrop to see low line drives in the infield either.
Fly ball to left. Clint Robinson coming in for it, 2 down. He was playing the left-handed batter over toward the line and not deep.
Stalking.
It'll be Jonathan Schoop now. Scope rather, with 2 outs.
The deeper the game gets, the further back Scherzer takes the ball off the mound, almost close to second base, and then just kind of strolls up on top of that thing and says, let's do this.
Just a little bit outside there. Scope a base hit to left last time. That ball that fell in front of Clint Robinson with 1 out in the 6th.
Pitch number 97, 95. Yeah, here it is. Hit it. Here's my heater. 97. So pitch number 99, B99. Who knows? He's got a lot left in the tank, it seems like.
1-2 pitch, 2 outs in the 8th. And he buries one that Ramos blocks, probably to the pleasure of the man behind him, Ed Hickox. Got him with the slider. Max Scherzer, 7 strikeouts. He's gone 8 innings or more for the 7th time this year. And he's retired now 22 of the last 24 Baltimore hitters. Another outstanding performance. He looks like he's an all-star in this one today. The story is Max Scherzer. And this call to the bullpen for Bud Norris, brought to you by and packaged by the UPS Store. Your one-stop shop for all your small business needs. Let us handle your mailbox service needs. We love logistics.
You see the arsenal for Bud Norris. Fastball 93, slider 86. A changeup to go with it. He'll cut the fastball on occasion. But the bullpen hasn't been good to Bud Norris so far this year. He was tagged with a loss in his 2nd relief appearance. July 8th at Minnesota. Gave up back-to-back home runs to the Twins. So former starter moved to the bullpen. Still trying to figure that part out.
Wilson Ramos leads off. He's hit a career homer against Norris. 4 hits and 11 at-bats. 3-1 Nats. Ramos 0 for 3 today.
And a breaking ball that he scorches the other way.
It's a good try.
It was. That thing was hot coming in.
She already made a great play down there, staying in front of a one-hopper. She tried to snag that line drive. It was a little too firm.
One ball, one strike. Fading way low and in. Orioles, by the way, will have the top of their order due up in the ninth. Well, Drew Storen throwing. Scherzer at 100 pitches. You know what he wants to do.
Get an early start to Cincinnati?
No.
Finish the game. I'm going to keep an eye on Drew and see if he starts to heat up out there, if he's just kind of tossing just in case.
Sure.
Kind of give us an idea of what's going on tonight.
Bud Norris goes 3-2.
But when you talk to Drew, he likes to start a clean ninth. So if he's up, I'm thinking he's in.
Ramos on a slider away, can't get it. WUSA 9 loves teachers. Help us help them with Teachers Are Superheroes. Students do better when they're engaged, and you can help. Go to WUSA9.com. Find out how.
But the students aren't getting engaged. They're just staying engaged, right?
Yes, we've had this discussion.
That sounds like they're telling kids to get engaged.
Another big day for Clint Robinson. Tapper near the bag. On the move, PARMELEE, 2 down. Another great crowd here. 45,677 is the average for the 3 games this weekend. As today is the crowd announced, 46,247. So more than 137 Orioles and we shall add Nats fans take in this weekend series in Baltimore. Well done. Dan Uggla 1 for 3 with an RBI hit. And against Bud Norris, he's had success, 4 for 10, a homer and a walk. Fastball right in there.
Yeah, Drew's hot. He's letting it rip down there. Full speed, watch.
Slider for a strike. 1-2. Well, I love both of them. I'll have to see Scherzer's out of this game before I believe it. Good take by Dan Uggla on a pitch that looked like a borderline strike for a while.
With the 4-day break coming, if you're Drew Storen, you could get hot and not come in the game and make it your side.
Sure.
So you're right. I mean, who knows? Stay tuned. ...
And Dan Uggla working things well here. Front door breaking ball stays inside. And now the Nats have their first base runner since Clint Robinson's single back in the 6th inning. That'll get Tyler Moore in there. And Tyler will face Bud Norris for the first time.
Tyler Moore is a difference maker in today's game. The double in the 4th inning to score 2.
And they're not biting on that slider now. Right on the edge.
Well, the way Norris has been pitching this inning, it seems like he's been predominantly away to right-handers. That same swing Tyler Moore had in the 4th might just work right here in the 9th.
Yeah, good call. A lot of room over on that side. That's a fastball, 93 elevated. And Tyler couldn't get to it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Pretty good pitch.
Yes, it was.
Bud Norris with a long look in there at Hickox. It looked like a strike to me. What does Pitch Track think? Tyler Moore lives to fight another pitch. That's what Pitch Track thinks.
Two.
Two-strike adjustment, spread out, takes a lot out of his swing, thinks about going the other way.
3-1 ball game. The Nats have out-hit the Orioles 8-3. And Tyler Moore having a good at bat here.
Pitchers hate hitters that make two-strike adjustments. They just spread out and flick the ball around and make them throw more pitches. And sometimes they just get frustrated by the fact that you're fighting them and they end up making a mistake.
That one in the dirt. Tyler Moore can't get it, so here we go. What decision's about to be made? Is it Storen or is it Scherzer trying to go all the way? Question answered. Max Scherzer, 100 pitches, 70 strikes, and he's coming out for the bottom of the 9th inning. Now keep in mind, this is a pitcher, and Matt Dendecker will shore up the defense in left field, by the way. This is a pitcher who had one complete game coming into this season, and if he does this, it'll be his 4th with the Nats.
Well, here we go. Settle in and watch Max go.
Manny Machado, 0 for 3 today. Trying to jump on the first one. He's late for it. Strike 1.
And you got 4 days off, All-Star break coming. You don't think Max Scherzer's just going to let it all out right here? Closer mode. I got this. He's been doing this since the 4th. As soon as he got the lead, it's been closer mode.
And the fastball popped up out of play.
The Orioles just haven't gotten to the Max Scherzer fastball from the first inning on. The only damage was done on a pretty good slider down and away, but it's been all about number 1 here today in Baltimore.
Machado reaching. Escobar has it. Over to first by a step and a half for the first down. Next up, Paredes, and keep these guys off base with Adam Jones lurking. That's huge. Paredes is 1 for 3. Bounced a base hit to the right of Tyler Moore, who was holding a runner last time up.
Long walk up the backside of the mound. Here we go. Slam the ball into his glove. If you can't tell, I really love this part of the game when he's pitching.
Cats trying to win a series in Baltimore for the first time since June 07.
Backpedal up the mound and give me that ball. Let's do this. I mean, this is just old school at its best, folks. If you don't love this, you don't love baseball. Can't help you.
.96, and that was low. Pitchers kind of found out the low strike was not available early today from Ed Hickox. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Target away and up. Where Ramos caught that ball, not that far out of the zone if it was.
It's all Wilson Ramos needs is his index finger right now. 1. Put it down. Oh, you're going changeup.
Adam reaching, a little tapper. All right, so he slowed him down a little bit there. Threw him another off-speed pitch. Espinosa with a nice pick on the short hop, 2 down. Great pitching causes great defense.
Almost to second base taking this ball.
Now it's Adam Jones, who the good news is can't tie the game. And ever since he homered on that slider back in the first, Max overpowered him with a little tapper in front of the plate in the 4th and a pop-up to the right side in the 6th.
My best bolt against your best bolt. Let's do this. Fastballs. Be surprised if he throws him anything else.
Jones not waiting around. That was a slider.
Yes.
And now that Jones is at the first base bag, pick it up. That ball had a lot of spin on it. Nats trying to beat the Orioles for the first time overall since June of 11. That was in Washington. but 8 years since they've done it here. Another slider. No balls, 2 strikes. Hasn't seen the heater yet in this AB. And a ball hit to left. Back is Dendecker. He's not going to be able to make the catch. And it's a 3-2 game. That ball got in the first row. And I wonder if Dendecker ran into the wall on his way up. So Adam Jones homers again.
And Matt Williams coming out to get Max Scherzer. And Jones on another slider from Scherzer. Kind of catches it out front. Very similar swing to his first home run in the first inning. So 2 home runs for Adam Jones have accounted for all the Orioles offense today. And look at Ian Desmond talking to Matt Williams. He's trying to lobby. Oh, they want to look at a replay. All right. Maybe fan interference. Ian Desmond ran out on that. He had a pretty good look at it. And Matt Dendecker, they want to look at it before they take out Max Scherzer. This is interesting. How often do you see this? Did the fan reach over with his hat? I don't think so. That's a home run.
Yeah, that ball cleanly into the first row. Now Buck Showalter wants to come out and talk to Ed Hickox to find out what's going on. The call has been made for Drew Storen.
That's just a tough pitch to throw when you're tired, that slider. You know, you get behind the fastball and let it rip, but to get out in front and spin that slider up there with a lot of break that late. But what another great outing for Max Scherzer here against the Orioles.
It's up to Drew Storen now after Scherzer was brilliant all day.
Kind of backed up on the inner half. And he was beating the Orioles with the fastball all day. Tried to trick Adam Jones right there. I think if you asked Max, he wanted to bounce that down away. He left it down and in. And yeah, Dendecker got a little too close to the fence to get any elevation right there, or he might have had a chance to make it an amazing play. Not his fault by any means. Adam Jones, if you're wondering if he's going to play today, he's got 2 home runs.
Drew Storen faces Chris Davis, who's 0 for 1 career against him. 1 out to get for his 27th save and to get the Nats out of here with a series win. Espinosa's in short right field. Harper is almost up against the warning track.
Well, Espinosa's play on the bullet off the bat of Paredes, huge. And isn't this the way this series should end? I mean, these games have been just fantastic. Playoff style, folks.
That's in the strike zone at 93. Then he drops the killer slider on him for strike 2. And Drew Storen's got a variety of things he can do here. Got him! Swing and a miss in the nets. Win the series in Baltimore. And it's number 10 for Max Scherzer.
27th save of the year for Drew Storen. Max Scherzer awesome today, and the Nats fly into the All-Star break with a W, and that's one that you get to sit with for 4 days. Nasty slider from Drew Storen. And that's how this series ends. What a series here at Camden Yards between these two ball clubs, leaving it all out there, both teams heading into the break. And how did Max Scherzer like it on the bench? So good.
Well, Drew Storen had 43 saves back in 2011, and he's on quite a pace now with number 27. What a win, what a weekend, and the Nats win it 3-2 over the Orioles. Join us Friday when the Nats open a weekend series against the Dodgers.